Because a Sant is a timeless personality. Someone who has merged himself with the Creator. The Japji guides us about two possibilities on life. One is the Karam world, the action and reaction, where the rules of conduct, good and bad, govern our life. This is one aspect. This is the ego mind, the ego world, where we live this personality, we live this identity, and while living this identity, we cross over our physical departure from this world, and we keep transiting in this ego mind. So the ego mind, the identity mind, or the home man, has certain aspects which are linked to it. One is desire, Trishna. The other is movement, constant seeking, searching for completeness. And then no rest. That is the nature of this moving mind. It doesn't rest, it doesn't let us rest. And we don't find visram or rest till we have transcended into the non-moving mind. A Sant lives in that part primarily. He also lives the physical world, but his foundation rests in that part of life, which is Nanak Bhakta Sada Vigas. Gun Gama Din Raat, Nanak Chaho Eho. Visar Nahi Datar Apna Naam Deo. That personality has a foundation built on Naam. They are the masters of the world beyond the physical, because they have given up their ego world by choice. Anybody who doesn't give up the ego mind cannot be a Sant, because the ego is only a transiting element of life. It is not a permanent feature. It is an opportunity to merge with the Creator, to merge with the source mind. So the Brahm Giani is he who knows the source of his creation, who has merged with that part of his life from where he breathes, he lives. In one of the discussions with Sant Niranjan Singh, he said once that, all right, let the whole world go away, let it all be against me, but the Creator is always with me. Those were his words. He said, Ta sada nirankar ta sade naal hai. I will narrate this whole journey which I went through, which transformed my life completely. And it starts in the year 1983, when I was about 20 years old. Sant Niranjan Singh had come with Biba Gandhi, who was his like a seva daughter, and she was related to my sister's family, and he had a kirtan in their house, which was close to our house at that time. The sadhana which he used to start at 3 a.m. in the morning. It was in complete darkness, and I attended that session It was sublime for me, and it moved me intensely. And then after a day or so, he shifted to our house, and it gave me an opportunity to be closer to him. He gave me certain seva to do for him, which I loved to do. I did not realize at that time that there was an intense meeting happening between us. But it was a trigger. I was searching for what was Sikhi. Who is a Sikh? Because whoever I saw around me, I rejected to the part that these are not what Guru Sikhs are. I would like to meet or know a Guru Sikh, because born in Delhi in a Sikh family, but I did not find. Although my mother was very spiritual, but I didn't see that connection. After some time, I went to meet him at the ashram, and Patiala was where the ashram was, and two of my Masis were staying in Patiala, so I would stay with them, go in the day. And I remember him asking me, when will you stay the night at the ashram? And so I stayed at the ashram the next day. And that changed me forever. I met a personality for the first time in my life who was in entire meditation throughout the night. I did not realize, but our meeting was, he told me this the next day, that see, there is no night and day for us. We spend our whole night, whole day, there is no time. So I could sense that, because in his presence, I was going through the same experience. And he told me this in the morning. He says, for us, the sunset, sunrise, it's timeless. It's all the same. And I was alert throughout the night. He would call on his sevadar. There was someone to do seva and give him water to bathe in the morning, and all that was happening. But he told me to be near, in the vicinity where he was. Then I spent a few days, I was doing my engineering in Bangalore, I left back. But then there was some change happening within me. Like I had found an answer to my question. Like I had found an association somewhere which was much deeper than what I could understand and fathom. And after a few months when I came back, he told me that whenever you're idle from your work, we get connected. So, Dhyan is a very important element between spiritual personalities. And space, time and cause do not bind or define them. Dhyan will connect them to you or us, no matter where we are. In this way, the physical association is a different character and nature. Then the 84 riots happened. I was in Bangalore. Fortunately, family and everyone was safe. And in 84, I remember that when I came to the ashram after the incidents, there was, the army had come and taken Sant Niranjan Singh for interrogation with Sodi Saab was there. Before the army came, there was a person who came in the evening to the ashram. He was an ex-army person. And he said that the army is coming. He had a dream that there was an army was coming to the ashram. And so he announced to everybody, he tried to organize, but there was no need to do that. I remember Sodhi Sahab telling me that Sant Niranjan Singh told him at that time, when he was in the car, because the army asked him to come to the army office. And he said, either they will kill us or they may let us go. And he told me that at that time he felt the presence of Sant Atar Singh Ji at that moment. He was released later, the next day. There was somebody who was known to him who came there, who was part of the army team. Those were very difficult times for Punjab. Punjab seems to be in difficult times often against the government. But those were very intensely difficult times because, well, then after some time I went back to the ashram. I used to stay there for a few days at a time, say a week, 10 days, 15 days, whenever I got the opportunity. And he would ask me to do seva in the langar, in his room, cleaning. I just spent time with him. And at one juncture he told me that this engineering is not for you. You leave it. And I very willingly accepted that. My father was very upset, of course, and there was a lot of to and fro between the family and him, and there were meetings. But I don't think anybody in the family wanted to listen to what he had to say. But in any case, I stayed at the ashram then for next 4.5 years, and I did not come back home, but for one or two occasions when there was some function in the family. Those were some of the most intense periods of my life, because I had the opportunity to go within, to explore my spiritual side. I don't say that I was doing some techniques, but I think the Sangat itself was intense enough for me to experience the Shabad. Of course, before this, I had gone to Hazur Sahib, Anandpur Sahib, Paonta Sahib. These were places I visited during this confusion between the family and him. When he wanted to tell the family that you allow him to settle in or near the ashram and let me nurture his spirituality. But that was all set aside. One of the most intense things about meeting Sant Gyani Niranjan Singh was the fact that he gave a lifestyle of complete Sikhi experience. 2:30 in the morning we would bathe, and 3 o'clock we would be doing sadhana in the ashram. Sadhana was done in darkness, so we did not know who was where or who was coming or going. Sangat used to come from outside regularly. And in the evening, 4 to 5, there was katha at Dukhnewaran Sahib every day. I remember Jasbir Singh Ji Khanna used to come to the ashram. He used to be doing a lot of katha and preaching in the Sangat, and he would come and meet for guidance or inspiration. And he was also told by some of my family to try and take me back, so he came and asked me once. But he never said anything. He only asked me who I was. And then there were other sants who I met while I stayed with Sant Niranjan Singh ji. One was Lahiri ji, who used to stay in Handesra. He was a very nice, pleasant personality, very non-Sant-like figure. And he would spend often an evening or afternoon in the ashram, and he would chit-chat or guide. I remember him telling me, "Tu tenda jigda chadda ja." There was another Sant who used to visit, and it was not so pleasant. It was Sant Balwant Singh. He used to be in Sarhand, Sidsar. There were other personalities who came very rarely, so I did not know them much. People like Toda ji used to come for his village was nearby. But those were happenings. Sometimes people from the Maharaja Patiala's house would come for guidance. At that time, the Sausakhi was brought to him to try and decipher what the future held. In all this experience, the one thing which he inspired in me was the participation of Shabad, the experience of Shabad within. And I remember he used to be doing japji with his fingers. Always when he was even talking to someone, his fingers would be moving. We used to take rest at 9 at night, and he would sleep for an hour or two in the whole day. And most of the time he was doing his jap, he was doing Simran. And then 2:30 he would wake up, and we would bathe, and we would go for Kirtan. One of the most outstanding experiences I had with him, or something which I carry as a flavor, was the intense love he felt for Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Maharaj. Almost like a presence always with us. And there were certain incidences in which he was in so much dhyan in the winters. One day, next to a tree, he stood for hours. And then he later shared that he felt the presence of Guru Maharaj, so he did not move at all. His emotional connect was such that he would be very emotional when we talked about Guru Sahib. Often, maybe 5 to 7 times a year, we would skip away at the middle of the night, drive to Sarhand, and he would stand in meditation for hours there. Jyoti Sarup is the Gurdwara. I remember him telling me the history, Mata Gujri, Baba Zorawar Singh, Baba Fateh Singh. And he said, look, the Panth has such nice and powerful, empowered places. And we are yet seeking for answers. We should sit in meditation in these centers and wait for answers to come. And the spiritual aspect will guide us. So, there were some incidences which really happened. People always try and connect Santhood to miracles and to... So those are aspects which I don't think are so relevant. The most empowering, relevant miracle of a Sant is his love for the Creator, his love for the Guru, and his Simran, his intense Simran. So much Simran that he puts you also in dhyan. You also become focused around his presence in Seva, that Seva becomes a Simran. I will narrate a few incidences which happened. Some of them directly were shared with me, some I heard later. One was this personality whom I knew, who had committed a horrific crime. It was, and he narrated that he was one day walking through a street and he heard the Kirtan, and it moved him so much that he fell at the place where all the jodas, the juttis were kept, and he cried there for hours. Something about the Kirtan touched him, and then he always stayed connected with Sant Niranjan Singh. And then he narrated that he had an intense dream one day. And in that dream, he lived through this whole incident, what he had committed. He lived through it himself, almost like a penance. And he said, I was drenched in sweat, and I lived through that whole experience. And he narrated this to me. In one incident, a person from Sri Lanka, who was not a Sikh, had come to the ashram, and he went inside to meet Sant Niranjan Singh, and he stayed inside for some time, and he returned completely drenched and crying, completely emotional. And when he was asked what happened, he said, I entered and I saw a scene in front of me, that I was in the battlefield and my head was in Sant Niranjan Singh Ji's thigh, and I'm breathing my last, and he's telling me in the battlefield, Asi phir milange, we will meet again. And he says, the moment that picture came in front of me, Sant Niranjan Singh Ji said, now we meet again. And he said he was completely shaken up. Experiences of past lives, experiences which are not even known to us. We can live through these because a Sant doesn't have a physical life only. His real life is his spiritual life. In one incident, Biba Gandhi, who was very close to him and doing a lot of seva, she told me that one day she got up in the middle of the night and went to the gate, and she saw a silver shadow of Sant Niranjan Singh, more like a aura body present there, and there was a cord going from it which was also silver, and it's like astral projection or what. I did not see it, but she narrated it to me. She said, I saw this, and I don't think she told many people. And then the next day she probably met him and discussed it with him. In one incident, a very known spiritual personality of that era in Punjab, I will not take the name because that name still holds a lot of authority and ownership, so it can cause conflicts. The person came to Sant Niranjan Singh with a calf, and he said, you keep this because I have to come and take birth in your house. And he told me that after a few years, he had a daughter who got married, and there was a very acrimonious divorce which took place when she was pregnant. So she came back home and gave birth to this child. And the moment the child came home, and the cow also started giving milk at the same time. This is what he had told me himself. that personality is still living in the ashram. He gave me a name, but I do not want to share that name because it's a very known person, spiritual personality. These aspects of spirituality which we physically see sometimes can be deceptive, because in taking births, personalities and defined world changes, but not the undefined world. So I went to Jasbir Singh Ji Khanna after the passing away of Sant Niranjan Singh in 94. I actually went to request him to participate more in the ashram, but he told me that he wouldn't do that. And then we had a long discussion on many issues, and he said that whatever you do, the stamp of your association with Sant Niranjan Singh will always follow, because of the kind of relationship you have had with him. And I quite agree to that. But I also know that Sant Niranjan Singh had an intense knowledge of the spiritual evolution. And if someone talks about spirituality as a technique of breathing or dhyan, then we say, can somebody teach me techniques? Everybody can teach you techniques, can tell you how to breathe, how to try and do Simran. But the more important aspect of spiritual search, spiritual quest, is the love. Nobody can teach you how to love the Guru. Nobody can teach you how to love the Shabad. They can teach you how to meditate, they can teach you how to breathe. All those things can come, but spiritual evolution has a lot to do with Shabad and the love for Shabad, the love for Guru. Sangat can give us that. Living with somebody who intensely loves the Guru can make us also inclined. In the Guru Granth Sahib, the line comes, O bhi chandan hoye rahe, base jo chandan paas. Next to the sandalwood tree, all the trees become sandalwood. Our whole routine throughout the day would evolve around running a homeopathic center, doing langar, washing the car, cooking sometimes, setting up the room, cleaning the room, going out to do errands for the ashram, buying medicines or things of utility. And in all this, on a day-to-day basis, he would be watching. And he would sometimes ask how the internal state of mind was. Sometimes inspire and say, sit in dhyan today. But there was no structure as such. The structure was the association, and there was nobody else in the ashram. There were not many people who were staying there. There were others who were doing seva, but different forms of seva. So I would say I would have relatively exclusive association for that time. And it had a lot to do with the daily sadhana. I remember Komal from Greater Kailash used to visit, and she once told me, she said, the Kirtan which Sant Niranjan Singh has, I have not found that anywhere, and that's like a dose of cocaine for me. Whenever I sit in that Kirtan, it gives me so much intensity and a high that I miss it. And she felt that moved her. She later passed away more recently, but was always associated with the ashram. She was always in seva. And of course, in these associations, there was always a premonition. It was always announced what was going to happen. He would just call you and tell you this is going to happen, whether good or bad. One day we were at Chandigarh and we were driving back to Patiala, and we had an accident, and he was injured in that accident. He was admitted to the hospital at night, and he called me at night and said, "You sleep inside the room." So I slept in the room. In the middle of the night, he woke me and he said, "The Baani which has started for me now is main nahi, kich haun nahi, kich ahe na mora." This is the Turya Avastha. And he defined it for me. He says, this is what it means. Now that had a lot of repercussions. That meant that he was going to get disconnected from the physical part of life in stages. That is what happened. And also he tried an intervention, Guru Sahib's intervention through Kuldeep. Kuldeep was sent barefoot walking to Hazur Sahib with a prayer because Guru Sahib's intervention was required. But somehow, for some reason, it fell through. It didn't work. And then for about 2 to 3 years, although he visited Malaysia maybe twice, but at that time he was not in his full elements. The Sant Niranjan Singh ji, when he was doing Katha, if you would sit with him and listen to Katha, you would go into Dhyan. If you would sit with him and do Kirtan, you would go into Dhyan. His Dhyan was enough to take us all into Dhyan. But then when he was detaching himself from the physical, he told me that you will be going back now. And there was other people in the ashram, 1 or 2 other sevadars, that they will also go away. And in that period, he also left the ashram himself. The last 2-3 years of his life, he was with Biba Gandhi in her house, and that is where he left the physical body. And of course, there are certain parts of this association which are completely spiritual, which don't inspire sharing in the physical plane. They are better kept secret. But being in his association, being in his presence, taught me certain aspects of spirituality which I would never have learnt anywhere. And it had a lot to do with his energy, committing his energy to me with that intensity. And he told me that in no uncertain terms. He said to wake up one personality takes 110% energy. Everything has to be poured in. And he did that for others as well. So being in the Sangat of a Sant, or someone who is in meditation or in Dhyan, someone who is more intensely spiritual, we also need to be alert. We also need to be focused. We also need to be committed. Spirituality is not a mere curiosity point. It's not a mere problem-solving issue. It's not a mere let me gain something. Let me learn some skills. Spirituality is about giving up everything you know about life. Giving up the home. Sadho man ka maan tyago. Giving up the identity and accepting the presence of the Shabad in your life. Any personality who connects us to himself only and doesn't connect us to Shabad, beware of that. For Sant Niranjan Singh, Shabad was a very intense part. And at one phase, he told me when I was going through this turmoil and the churning between family and him, he told me, you keep the Sangat of the Shabad. The Shabad will guide you. The Shabad will support you. You keep this Shabad within you. And then he kept cross-checking. Shabad chalda hai. He would keep asking you, Shabad da dhyan chal raha hai. And then he would sometimes call me and give me updates about my own experience, about what I'm going through. He would know everything, of course. Sometimes when you feel the tingling between the throat, he would say the Amrit, the Dhyan in the Trikuti, and then he would narrate certain stories about spirituality to you so that you understand it better. I remember him telling me at one stage that Tu Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Maharaj da naam raat nu na liya kar. You should not take his name at night. I become very emotional. And then I cry for him. That's the kind of love he had for Guru Sahib. And that is the more impactful and the more powerful part of his presence. And I don't think that part has ever left me. I don't think that experience can ever go away. Because it showed me a part of life which is unseen, a presence in life of a guru who is not physically present, but whose presence is so immense that it is beyond time, space and cause. It's beyond life, death, beyond any reasoning. It's a presence which is more real than the physical presence. This is exactly what Bhai Nandlal in his Masnavi talks about. And he says that every physical person whom I see is Guru Gobind Singh Sahib. And every person's eyes I see, the light in it is from Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Maharaj. He says every jism is Guru Gobind Singh. The noor in every eye is Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. Everywhere is Guru Sahib. Ruh dar har jism Guru Gobind Singh. Noor dar har chashm Guru Gobind Singh. And this, I think, I lived as an experience with Sant Giani Niranjan Singh. And that, I think, is what he really wanted. That is what he really wanted anybody who was close to him to experience and know. And I don't think this other Sant also, who's now in the ashram, who's now living his new life there, is also far away from this. So these are spiritual souls who are bound to Guru Sahib, traveling through lifetimes, supporting each other. When we went to meet Sant Balwant Singh, of course Sant Balwant Singh in Sirhind, his meeting was more difficult for us because there was a lot of politics in it, and his ultimate desire was Sant Balwant Singh was to control the ashram through his people. We went there, and that meeting was very nice when we went to Sant, but when he came to ashram, I remember I was standing next to a pillar and watching him, and Sant Balwant Singh was to do Kirtan, and he started fumbling and he started looking around and he started seeing people. I did not realize, but the moment his eyes met mine, I realized that I was actually trying to stop his Kirtan through the energy of Sant Niranjan Singh. And he caught me, and then he got after me. That was a very subtle association between him and me. But so all sons don't have the same intention. And especially when after the accident, when Sant Niranjan Singh was now moving towards going inwards and detaching himself from the physical, his presence was getting less and less impactful outside. And the time when I was with him was a very powerful time for me, because his presence was dhyan for me. And he used to say this to me, that when I was in Bangalore, I was doing my engineering, and he would say, whenever you get free, we are in dhyan together. That is the kind of association we had. When he was going to leave the body, he had actually got cancer, so we were aware what was happening. And one day I was driving from work at night. It was late in the night, about 1 or 2, I don't remember, 12 o'clock or something. And I heard his voice, and he said, I'm going to leave, come and meet me. That was before he really departed. And we all knew this was happening, and the cancer was not a very pleasant one. It had a very short span. It was the liver cancer. So we did research, and we found that there was not much time. But this was a part of his experience of life. And my association with him from 83 to 89, physically I was there, and then after that we kept going back to meet him. But of course, the meeting and association with the Sant never goes away. The seeds this association sows in our lives, we don't know when they will sprout and come before us, when we will experience them, when we know life more completely. And I actually lived through a lot of those experiences after I came back home. After I went through my physical workplace, my journey through marriage and other aspects, there were snippets when I got this neutral energy and I got into my spiritual aspect. My desire was at that time, and even now, is to live this more intensely. But I haven't been able to do that in that sense, as he wanted me to. But I don't think that there was much which he didn't give away in his love for others, which always defines you. It always is with you. And needless to say, this dhyan gives you knowledge of past life associations when they come before you. The dhyan is by itself knowledge, so it gives you knowledge of who's coming to meet you, depending on how much focused you are. But those are not so relevant. So I would say that when I met Sant Niranjan Singh, through him I got a deeper association with Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Maharaj. And there are reasons for that. I don't want to share those. But there are real reasons for why he was so intensely yearning for Guru Sahib and so much in love. In fact, sometimes in his Kirtan, he would ask me, and he'd get up and say, "What happened today? I didn't want to get up from the Kirtan. What do you think was happening?" And he would often mention this presence, the presence of Guru Sahib. I remember him telling me once that Guru Sahib even comes in the body. That is how real the association is. I met a Brahm Giani. What is a Brahm Giani? A Brahm Giani is a person who knows his own source. From where is he coming from? What is his mind source? And who is so spiritual in his inclination that the physical becomes very minuscule. I remember him telling me this. He says, 3/4 of life is unseen. It's happening and we don't know why it is happening. But there is always a reason for what is happening. And often enough it is spiritual. There was one incident which was very strange, of course. There was a lady who used to come and teach at the ashram. And I found her very strange in the sense that her class was the most meticulous, most disciplined. And soon enough, there were things happening which I didn't quite fathom, and nor did he tell me anything about them. She would come and narrate stories about being close to Guru Sahib and going on journeys. Got some notes also. One day in the middle of the night, she came at 4 in the morning with 2 shawls. And she narrated how there was a negative personality stopping her. I didn't even want to go into these details. They looked so surreal that nor did he say anything about them. But he let it all pass away. She came and gave the shawls and then went away. And soon after that, she passed away also. She had left her body. But those are aberrations which we go through. There was one incident where the sevadar who used to do the farming, look after the cows, get the milk, farm, his name was Singh. And when he came the first time in the ashram, and I looked at him, and I saw everything about a bird about him. His nose was peaked like a bird. His fingers were like a bird's. If you'd see him, you would say, this is a Baj. And I saw that, and I said, I then asked him, I said, he looks like a Baj. And he said, yes, a Guru Sahib da pichle janam da Baj hai. So these are also things which keep happening as you go with this experience. When I came away from the ashram and when he left the body, I was getting up that day and I had my tea and was going to go to the Gurdwara Sahib to sit down. And before I went in, the telephone bell rang. Komal had told me that Sant Giani Niranjan Singh had passed away at night. And we left early morning. Even before I was able to go to the Gurdwara, I remember getting up the stairs and the bell ringing just at that time. And the next day we went for his cremation. If you have any questions, you can write them down and then we can discuss those. And I think what I have shared is a lot of what I have experienced and I'm able to share. And if you have any questions, and if there are none, then we will do Anand Sahib and complete the session today. Ji. Gobindpreet Kaur has a question she is typing out.
Thank you so much for unmuting me. Actually, I have little cough and cold. Sat Sri Akal. Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. I had a question as you were defining so beautifully the experiences. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Uh, so lovely and beautiful experiences, which I was listening. I'm like, I had goosebumps. It's like, when you said that Pita Maharaj, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, uh, well, he could feel the very most honorable saint could feel कि he used to come in his body at times. I'm like, you are very knowledgeable. Did this happen with you also sometime that I'm like whenever you are in dhyan or maybe because what I feel is my experience is
I have been taught that I should never. I don't think it has happened with me, but I don't think. What is an essential aspect of a spiritual journey, which is what Sant Niranjan Singh told me, is that never talk about your personal experiences in public, especially spiritual experiences, because then they will go away. The experience doesn't come back then.
Okay.
If it is
so
not
I respect that.
a spiritual journey should not be made part of the ego. If it is made part of the ego, then it becomes a part of the ego world. It strengthens the ego. Spirituality is about diminishing the ego, dissolving the ego. What is the question?
So this was the question that have you ever felt, but as you said that this is, not to be really spoken about, what you have really gone through and you're going, but still, I feel that I don't know. This is my personal experience. How does the audience they take it here? Or you, as the most honorable speaker, whom I hardly know from so many few lectures, I feel till date, I feel that it's not you speaking, it's my Guru Pitaji, he's speaking through you. Because I'm like, today's experiences have made me realize something which I was missing since a few days. Maybe it's regarding my nickname, or maybe it's evening what I do, my sohela or my prayers, whatever it is. So I think that is where in Nam Jap also. So today I got that message through you. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much being in the physical form and giving me his message. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ji. Appreciate it. Anyone else has any questions, anything to? We will end the session in Anand Saab. If there are no more questions or anybody wants to say something. SK, Hanji. Manpreet. To explore the spiritual realm, an isolation from world is required for some duration of life to have consistent and persistent. Is that a question, or you are giving your okay. Manpreet, it depends on what you're looking for. If we are looking for spirituality, then one aspect of our energy is always looking for that spirituality. And all the physical experiences of life, no matter where we go, what we do, in the back of the mind, that will always keep happening. I will say this, that it's not necessary in the physical sense. But this is what Sant Banwan Singh told me. He said, अगर तुसी अपनी पाल नहीं छड्डोगे तो कुछ भी नहीं बिगड़ेगा. if you are seeking the spirituality within you with intensity, and no matter how physical you are and what physical activity you are doing, it will not take away from that desire. Never. In fact, suppose you have gone into a physical activity with this desire at the back of the mind, okay, I don't get the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have that experience. So while you're doing this physical activity, let me say you're driving a car, you're running a family, you're doing your business, while you're doing all that, this seeking within us, in the back of our mind, the sixth sense, is constantly charging the mind. And the moment that physical activity will get over, whatever it is, whether it is 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, the moment that physical activity goes away, all that yearning which we had, वो जितनी अरदास साढ़े अंदर है, वो सामने आके प्रगट हो जाएगी. क्योंकि एनर्जी जिहड़ी है वो हार्नेस हो रही है, वो इकट्ठी हो रही है. That is getting collated, that is getting assimilated while we are doing the physical. And the moment we are able to do that, and we leave the physical even for a moment, the whole spiritual experience will come within us. So this is like a tap we are doing. While we are doing something, we are seeking the spiritual constantly. It will never go away. So none of that experience is going to take us away from the physical. No matter what your physical activity is, whatever is blocking you, keep your ardas constantly with you. Keep the prayer constantly with us, that I am seeking the spiritual experience. I hope I am able to answer this. To see whatever is blocking you will become your energy center. It will energize you more than you are able to do it yourself. I hope you can understand. This is now Taran Bains. Thanks for sharing your experience. I have a question. While meditating, do we have to cover our head and can do Shabad Jap without covering head? Covering the head is a necessary aspect because it holds your head is the more sensitive part of your spirituality. The Dasam Dwar is opening there. The other thing is that you must wash your hair every third day if you are going to be in dhyan. Whenever you get into that experience, every third day you must wash your hair. Otherwise, the dhyan gets distracted. Because you are to do dhyan constantly. It's not that dhyan is only happening when you're sitting for half an hour. Dhyan becomes part of your daily routine, daily life. It becomes part of you. There is nothing which separates you from dhyan. Ji Maharaj. I have joined for the first time. Where can I get to listen to the Kirtan by Sant? It is on YouTube. It's on cloud. Tej Kaur, Tajit Kaur. It is on, some of the Malaysian Sangat has put those recordings in cloud, in one of the, so if you look for them you can find them. I can even share them with you later. Gagandeep may be sharing that only. Kirtan Sadhana and sessions are all streamed on the YouTube channel. Gagan, she is asking about Sant Niranjan Singh Ji's Kirtan. That is all also on SoundCloud or some, it is there, so we can share it if you want. Ji. Taran Bands, thanks for sharing your experience. I have a question. While meditating, do we have to cover our head? Ji Maharaj. Can the WhatsApp group be opened for asking questions? actually constant questions get distractive. So it is always better to have them with you and maybe share them in the weekends. The link, Tajit ji, maybe we can have someone, share the link with you. If you, I don't know how it is to be done, but you can give your number in the group to someone, and they can send you the link. Yes, Sant Niranjan Singh ji's Kirtan. It is there on YouTube. Ji. He did this Kirtan for 50 years every day in the morning, 3 o'clock to 5:30, 6 o'clock. And he used to say, don't sleep after this Kirtan, because it's a very spiritual experience. Ji. So if there are no more questions, we can culminate with Anand Sahab. Hanji. Anudeep ji. Hanji. Maharaj.
Ji, I just wanted to do seva in case there are no questions.
Hanji. I don't think there are any more questions. We can do Anand Sahab. Hanji.
जी वाहिगुरु जी वाहिगुरु जी राम कली महला तीजा आनंद एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसाद आनंद पया मेरी माई सतगुरु मैं पाया सतगुर ता पाया सहज सेती मन वजिया वाधाइया राग रतन परवार परिया शबद गावन आइया जब दो तंगा वो हरि तेरा मन जी वसाया कह नानक आनंद हुआ सतगुरु मैं पाया ए मन मेरिया तू सदा रहो हर नाले हर नाल रहो तू मन मेरे दुख सब विसारना अंगीकार ओ करे तेरा कारज सब सवारना सब नागला समरथ स्वामी तो क्यों मनो विसारे कह नानक मन मेरे सदा रहो हर नाले साचे साहिबा क्या नहीं करते रहे सदा सिर्फ सलाह तेरी नाम मन वसावे नाम जिनके मन वसिया वाजे शब्द कनीरे कह नानक सच्चे साहिब क्या नहीं करते रहे साचा नाम मेरा आधारो साच नाम आधार मेरा जिन भुखा सब गवाइया कर शांत सुख मन आय वसिया जिन इच्छा सब पुजाइया सदा कुर्बान पिता गुरुवत हो जिसकिया ए वडियाइया कह नानक सुन संतो शब्द करो प्यारो साचा नाम मेरा आधारो वाजे पंच शबद तित कर सभाग्य कर सभाग्य शब्द वाजे कला जित कर तारिया पंच दूत तुद वश कीते काल कंटक मारिया सुर कर्म पाया तुद जिनको से नाम हर के लागे कहे नानक तै सुख होआ तित कर अनहद वाजे आनंद सुनो वड पागी हो सगर मनोरथ पूरे पार ब्रह्म प्रभ पाया उतरे सजद हुसूरे दुख रोग संताप उतरे सुनी सच्ची बाणी संत साजन कई सरसे पूरे गुर के जानी सुनते पुनीत कहते पवित्र सतगुरु रहया पर पूरे बिनवंत नानक गुर चरण लागे वाजे अनहद पूरे श्लोक पवन गुरु पानी पिता माता तरत महत दिवस रात दोई दाई दाया खेल सगल जगत चंगियाया बुरियाया वाचे परम हजूर करनी आपो आपनी के मेरे के दूर जिन्नी नाम ते आया गए मशक्कत काल नानक ते मुख उजले के की छुट्टी नाद जिन्नी नाम ते आया गए मशक्कत काल नानक ते मुख उजले के की छुट्टी नाद वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह.
One more question has come from someone. Just Me is the name. Did Sant Niranjan Singh share anything about the current? Yes, of course he did. In fact, we didn't need to, because he told me that you should teach him English, otherwise a sad ban jayega. And I tried to teach him English at that time, but there were problems. People would not let me be strict with him, and then I came away, and now that's what has happened. He has gone internalized. He is not expressive, and he was already a very spiritually evolved. Even when he was young, 4 or 5 years of age, 6, 7 years, he would say things which would happen, and he often, even at that time, when Sant Niranjan Singh used to do Japji, he would say one line and President would say the second line. He was 4, 5 years, 6 years of age. I remember one day I was making his hair and he took the silai from me, and he checked if it was sharp to break his hair. That is how careful he was about his hair. Of course, these are immensely spiritual people, but you cannot make that out from the physical. You have to be meditative and spiritual with them to be able to know that experience. We can go and stay in the ashram, but I don't know how much facility they have. But we went a few months ago, and we did stay the night outside and did kirtan in the morning in the ashram. The idea was to do that every month. Maybe we will go in October. Because of the floods, we didn't venture back. But I don't know where you are, Manmeet ji, but right now activities in the ashram are not at that level. Sant Niranjan Singh said one thing to me very clearly, in fact to everybody. There is no gaddi in the ashram. There is no such system of gaddi. And he said that clearly to everybody. Okay, you are in Canada. So when you visit here, we are in Delhi, so we are trying to go there now on a regular basis and do some kirtan in the morning and in the evening as well. Ji. So if there are no more questions, I thank you all. Waheguru ji ka khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.